Welcome to the How to Play video for Jewel Miners. I am the designer James Pao. I'm happy to be presenting this to you today. So this is a easy to play, easy to teach area control game that combines a tactical card play. So let's get into it by starting you off with an overview of the theme. Now, first, I just want to mention that the theme is we're in a post-apocalyptic world. The only resource worth anything anymore are these precious jewels mined from deep caves. As you and your gang of thugs stumble upon one of these deepest caves that you've ever seen, these other rival gangs start showing up, intent on taking away all those jewels that are rightfully, or not so rightfully, yours. So you need to sharpen your pickaxes, call your biggest boned buddies for backup, because the brawling, the jewel mining, is about to begin. Real quick overview. The game is played in 7 rounds, with each round consisting of 3 turns and just 1 action each. These very simple, intuitive actions include things like gaining a card, adding a miner to your supply, or placing a miner onto the cave board. It's as simple as that. Now that we've talked about theme, let's get into the setup of the game. First of all, we'll choose a starting player. This will be the one who most recently was in an underground vehicle like a subway or a tram or something. And so let's pretend that's the yellow player. Next, we will shuffle the deck of combat cards. And we will give them to the first player because they are going to be doing the card draft, which is about to start. It's only at the beginning of the game, after setup. So step C for setup is choose the side of the game board that relates to you. We're playing a 3 to 4 player game, so this is the 3 to 4 player board. We're going to place the round marker onto space number 1. We are playing round number 1 of 7. Each player will then take their starting pieces, that's 12 tokens, and also their 1 meeple, and their mini combat map and a player aid. And that's it. Each player will mix up and shuffle those 12 tokens, keeping them face down, moving them slightly away from you. That is what we call a general supply, not to be confused with in hand, which are right in front of you. Those are ones that you can immediately place onto the board. Now, you'll randomly take 4 miners from your general supply. I've revealed them already, but you would take 4 from your general supply randomly, and you might see them. In real life, these would be face down. I'm showing you face up so you can see what we're doing. So all players will have taken 4 randoms, and you can actually see what people have drawn. In the real game, it would be face down. All right. Well, the next step is to set aside the value 5 tokens. Those are only used if you play the card that relates to them. And every player does get 1 starting card, which is the no effect card. Of course, in real play, this would be face down. That is the setup. We're going to now do the initial draft. All that is that first player will go ahead and shuffle those cards, and they will deal out 4 cards to each player. And by dealing out these 4 cards, we'll then draft. It's a standard draft format where you're going to select one of the 4 cards, look at them, of course, select one to keep, and then take the other 3 and pass them clockwise to the player on your left. And this will happen 4 times total. So that'd be 1 card, then 1 card, 1 card, and you will take that 4th card automatically. Obviously, these are also rotating around as well. So at the end of the day, every player will end up with 4 cards. So let's pretend these are the 4 cards. So again, you'll mix it in with your no effect card, starting the game with effectively 5 starting cards. That's how the initial draft works. Now let's talk a little bit about how turns work and how rounds work. There are indeed 7 rounds, all right? And in those 7 rounds, there's going to be 3 things that happen. Number 1 is 3 turns, and that'll be just 1 single action each. Then you're going to have a combat region selection. So you're going to choose a place to fight or to mine. And then finally, you're actually going to resolve that region. So there's really just 3 things involved. And let me get into the details now. Now let's talk about playing an actual round. A round is going to consist of just 3 elements. You've got a series of 3 turns So basically a turn is yellow moves, blue moves, green moves with one action each. That's a turn. So 3 of those would be yellow, blue, green again. Yellow, blue, green a final time, and that's the end of the actions phase. All right, let's talk about what actions those can be. Number 1, you can add a miner. Very simply, take one from your general supply, put it to your hand. Of course, you would be looking at it and putting it back face down. I'm going to reveal it so you can see it. That's one action. Second action is deploy a miner. You would take one of your choosing, put it onto the board. Now, when you place, you must place at the shallowest level or the level 1. And only after you have placed something in level 1 can you then dig deeper and go down a level still adjacent to what you already played. So you could do that on a subsequent turn. So that is called deploying a miner. The third option is to move a miner. After you've got miners on the board, you may move a miner. So that is moving one space adjacent. That's it, just like that. You can go adjacent this way, that way, or down any way you like. Just move one adjacent. The fourth and final action is simply to choose a card. What you would do here is you would take the top 2 cards from the deck, look at them, decide upon which one you want to keep and which one to reject. Let's say I took Decimate. I would keep that in my hand, and I would put that other card at the bottom of the deck. And that's how you choose a card, quote unquote. All right, we've gone through all of the actions that are possible. I want to remind you of something that's kind of important, which is the rule of 3. Just remember that when you're placing things on the board, you can have only a maximum of 3 physical tokens of your color in any one geographic region. So if I found myself in this situation here, I could not move my 3 token down into this region because that would mean 4 of the same color, meaning 4 of my own tokens. You cannot do that. There's a maximum of 3 physical tokens per region. Just a quick reminder. We've done the actions. Now we're going to choose one region to mine. And here's where I'll set up the board a little bit so we can kind of see what might happen. This might be the board setup, and now we're going to choose one region each. Now blue will secretly do so by putting his hand over his mini combat map and choosing a place. Now he happened to have chosen this one. Yellow will choose a place, and they will secretly decide. All right, they've chosen that. Again, we will not reveal until everyone has chosen, and then we'll reveal simultaneously. Green, for example, might also choose this one, unbeknownst to yellow. Now, we all reveal at the same time, and it is determined that blue chose this region. Yellow and green both chose this region. So what happens is we only, going on to step 3, which is resolving combat, we only resolve regions in which one or more players chose that region in their mini combat map. So we're only going to kind of determine the winner for this region, and that's it for this particular round. So how do we do that? Well, first we're going to flip it over. And we see here that blue wins it unanimously. There's nobody else there. Because it's unanimous, blue does not lose anything. He simply sits there happily and scores the victory points or the kind of the bounty from that particular region. In this case, it's 1 jewel and 1 card. He will take 1 jewel. This represents 1. This represents 5 in red. So he'll take 1 jewel, and he will take a free card. He'll look at it and go, oh, great, I got sneak attack. Yay. Next, we will resolve, again, the next region. And when I say the next region, we're going to resolve in a reverse S snake-like fashion. So we'll resolve them in this particular order, just in case you want to know for future reference. So we've had this region now decided upon. Let's flip these over and see what happens. So yellow has a 1 and green has a 4 strength. So in this case, green is likely to win this particular region, which is worth 1 jewel, unless yellow does something with their card play. So at this point, because there are 2 or more players, we're going to have a card added to the battle, just 1 single card. Each of the players involved simply pick one of their cards available to them, and they will simultaneously play it, meaning you'll put it forth, and when you're ready, we'll both reveal at the same time. Let's say these are the ones. And again, at this point, the resolution, very important, will happen with the starting player and moving clockwise. So yellow will have their card effect happen first, then going clockwise, green will then have their card play effect happen after. So that's very important to remember. Let's pretend these particular cards had no effect, just for argument's sake. At the end of this battle, green still beats yellow, and we throw away the cards. But what happens by quote-unquote winning? Well, when green wins the battle, as a casualty of war, they must get rid of their highest ranking token. So of course it's the 4, but if they had 4-2, they would just get rid of the 4 and throw that back in the box. So lose it forever for the rest of the game. Their remaining tokens, if they had any, would stay in the region without any penalty. That's the winner. The loser is going to take all of their units, or the losers are going to take all of their units and move them up a level. So what that means is, that in this case, they would go all the way back to in their hand, like so. If the battle took place in level 2, yellow would have to choose a level 1 region that's adjacent and 1 step higher in order to retreat, so to speak. So that's the retreat function of the loser or losers of a particular battle. And that's how battle is pretty much determined. Once you've figured out who won the battle, of course they're going to get the bounty. In this case, green will get 1 jewel for their troubles. They'll put that in their hand, and people can see that at all times. That is public information. So you see the result here was blue was able to win 1 jewel and 1 card. Green was able to win 1 jewel. And as you get further down in terms of mining deeper in the cave, you will get more jewels. And so that is, of course, a temptation and a way to win the game. So we've talked now about resolving combat. We've figured all of that out. The only real other thing to talk about is, if there are ties, which is rare, but if there were to be a tie, just all the miners would stay in the same region. So if we ended up in this situation here, let's say later on in the game we had this situation. There's 3 strength for blue and there's 3 strength for green. Pretending card play did not affect anything. This would be a tie situation. Nobody would take this region. Nobody would gain 2 jewels, but they would be able to still at least stay in the space and not get kicked out. That's what happens in tied regions. All right, when we're done with battle, we, of course, discard any cards that were played. We move the round marker up 1. So as I've mentioned, as a recap, there are 7 total rounds, and it's very simply 3 turns, followed by the combat region selection using that combat mini-map we talked about. And then we're resolving those regions to determine who gets the bounty in the upper left corner of each region. Again, as a reminder, we only play 7 rounds. They're quick, efficient, and intuitive. At the end of those 7 rounds, we're going to determine a victor. So in terms of winning the game, clearly, whoever has the most jewels wins. So in this case, green has got 9 jewels. Yellow has 6 jewels. And blue has 8 jewels. So the winner is green with 9 jewels. If there happened to be a tie, let's pretend blue had 9 and green had 9. The tiebreaker is the largest sum of face-up miners on the board. So in this case, green would win because they have 3 strength of miners on the board, and blue would win because blue has 3 strength of miners on the board, and green only has 2 strength of miners on the board. Yellow happened to have 4 strength of miners on the board, visible on the board, face up. However, yellow was not in the tiebreaker. They already lost. They only had 6 points. Therefore, blue is the victor in this case. So that's how you play Jewel Miners. I hope you've enjoyed this How to Play video. And please make sure to check the rules for any other additional information. Thank you for joining me. I'm James Pao. Peace out.